So there's a variety of changes that can happen to our body if we're sitting for a long period of time. Now, sitting is not inherently bad for us, so it's good to, sit to socialise and to have a meal and to watch some TV and all those kind of things. That's totally fine. But one of the things to consider is that we can sit for a long period of time in a day. If you consider if someone's working and they have a seated job, maybe they'll sit for, say, 8 hours a day at their job. They might have some commute time, say half hour each way, that's 9 hours total. Then they've got some lunch time, we'll throw in that's 10 hours. Then they might be watching TV at the end of the day, and you might be up to, and maybe they're on a laptop or something else afterwards as well. They might be up to as much as 15 hours a day sitting. And if you consider that of the, say, 16 hours of wake time, 15 of those 16 hours could be prolonged sitting. So that there's some changes that can occur when you're sitting for a long period of time. So talk about some of those changes on the muscular level, also on the skeletal system and some of the other systems as well. So firstly, if you look at the diagram here, the muscles that are in this shortened position can get tight if they're in that position for a long period of time. So if you're sitting, the muscle at the front of the hips can get tight, your hip flexors, because they're in a shortened position when you're sitting all day. Also, your hamstrings can get tight, your calves can get tight. Sometimes you get some overstretching of some of these structures. Your pectoral muscles can get a bit tight as well. Also, your head can come forward, and a variety of other changes as well. Also, when you're prolonged sitting like this, sometimes your diaphragm muscle, which is your main breathing muscle, can't actually work properly because as you're sitting down, your abdominal contents is getting a little bit compressed, so it's harder for that diaphragm to descend as you're breathing in. So it can cause these changes and cause tension, and commonly tension through here, through the back, and those other areas, and also shortening through these other muscles as well. So there's these changes that can occur to our muscles, and it's quite important to understand them so we can undo some of those changes so we can feel free and flexible. And one of the things is if people have been sitting for a long period of time, then they go and move, sometimes they can pull a muscle because the muscle's been short because it's been in one position for a long period of time. We're also going to talk about the skeletal system, so just looking over here into the spine. So this is your spine here, so your neck, your middle back and your lower back. And this is what we call a neutral spine position, so kind of the middle kind of position of your spine. And what can happen when you're sitting for a prolonged period of time is we can sometimes get a little bit of rounding through this part of the spine through here, and sometimes our head can kind of poke forward a little bit, and sometimes we can kind of become a bit slouchy through our lower back as well. And essentially that can cause a bit of a slight kind of change in the position of these disc structures, which is these kind of flat pads between the bones. And I do emphasise that that sitting for a short period of time is no problems at all, and it's a normal, healthy thing to do. But if you're sitting for 15 of a 16-hour wake day, that's a long time, and you get these postural changes that can occur. So what can happen is the middle back can become more rounded, head can come forward, and you can become a little bit rounded through the middle back as well. You'll notice that these little yellow things, they're actually nerves. So as you develop these changes in the curves, sometimes it can also affect how the nerves flow through the body as well. And it can cause discomfort in different areas of the spine, whether you're in a prolonged poor posture. And it's not that that the neutral spine position is the only position we should be in. Our spine is meant to move and bend and twist and do all these different movements. And it's fine to bend. It's actually fine to slouch occasionally as well. But if you do it for 15 hours of a 16-hour day, our body starts getting a bit grumpy with it. So it's important to understand about some of those changes and do some movements in the opposite direction to have to balance some of those postural changes that can happen when you're prolonged sitting. As well as that, there's some other systems as well, such as our circulatory system, our lymphatic system as well, to help to remove waste products. So it's important, we need movement for our blood flow to be changed over. So for new blood going in, old blood being returned to back to the heart, and also removal of waste products for our lymphatic system. They've even found, as saying things like breathing is important, and also a number of other things as well, such as the loading through our body is less if we're sitting for a long period of time, which can make our body a bit weaker, particularly some of our postural muscles. And it can also affect even our hormonal system as well. So in summary, the key thing is there's some changes that can happen when you're sitting for a prolonged period of time, And I do encourage anyone that's sitting for a prolonged period of time to get up and walk and to move, and ideally move in the opposite direction that you're in all the time.